We live in an age of fly-by-wire, of multiple engine modes, traction control and variable valve timing, of lean angle sensitive ABS and inertial control units. Every motorbike's a bit of a smart-ass that reckons it knows more about riding than you do. And I think some people are starting to feel like modern bikes don't represent what riding's all about.
It seems Ducati had a licked finger in the wind, because last year it launched a back-to-basics hipster retro bike with a focus on simplicity, style and real-world fun. A bike for the way most of us really ride, as opposed to the way we like to think we ride. A bike that could scramble.
In France, they call it Le Scrambler, and it's been très populaire. It's not only Ducati's biggest seller this year, it's the biggest selling bike in all of Italy. The Scrambler has single-handedly boosted Ducati's global numbers by more than 25% since it launched. This bike's about as simple as it gets these days. You're looking at an air-cooled 803cc L-twin engine pulled out of the Monster series. Trellis frame, bench seat, high bars, single disc, chunky tyres and flat tracky styling to make you feel like Evel Knievel, even if you don't have plutonium testicles. This is a tiny bike to sit on, and as pillowy soft as mother's nourishing bosom. When you hit the gas, it squishes down backwards. When you hit the brakes, it squishes down forwards. The clutch is soft and light, and the brakes come all the way into the bar in a nice piece of period accuracy. The engine, on the other hand, is an angry little bastard, and it clearly wants to punch on. Too much throttle in first or second gear, and it feels like you're going to slide backwards off that flat seat. If you've been raised on a diet of modern sports bikes, you've never felt a bike that handles like this. It's light and low, and just hysterical fun in the tight, slow stuff. Ground clearance wasn't invented yet in the 70s, so they didn't include any here. And that means with a porker like me on it, you're dragging pegs and exhaust around roundabouts on cold tyres. In fact, you almost don't need a corner at all to get the pegs down. But you know what? That's really good fun. And crucially, it's really good fun you can have under the speed limit, inside the city limits, and well within your riding limits. It's only got 75 horsepower, but thanks to low gearing, that feels like heaps under about 120. It's simpler, cheaper, and better looking than the retro Beamer, and it's lighter and heaps punchier than the Triumph. In terms of complaints, well, you've got to stuff around in the menus to turn off the ABS. The tank only holds 13.5 litres and doesn't give you much to hang on to with your legs. And the kickstand's hard to find, which means you get stuck fidgeting around like a twonker instead of hopping off looking like a cool dude. If I felt like I was going to fall off the back, I'd hate to be a passenger on the back of this one, and I reckon the soft suspension would have a hard time of it too. This bump in the middle of the seat went halfway up my bum when I sat where my legs wanted to fit, and that made my wedding tackle go to sleep on the highway, which is always going to lose you some brownie points. And the dash, it's like 60s, 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 80s. And not David Lee Roth 80s, we're talking Casio digital watch 80s. But the main thing I'd change would be maybe getting a more progressive throttle cam on there to smooth things out in first and second gear, so it only scares you when you ask it to. Those things aside, this is just a super fun machine. It'd make a cracking first or second bike with really accessible performance for just about any rider. I wouldn't mind betting a lot of experienced bikers are going to love it as a step back from the razor-edged superbike.
In fact, the numbers have spoken. It's already a huge winner. In Spain, they call it El Scramblero, and it's a kind of bike that I'd like to see a lot more of.